Hey, our last video was pretty intense with all that head spine information and lots of exercises and practices, so try to keep this one really short. Today I want to talk to you about your eyeballs. So, this actually ties in really well to head spine because where we put our eyes, our head will sort of balance. So let's experiment with that for a minute. Everybody look down, like towards your knees, and notice where your head goes. Does your head stay free? Can it still rebalance and adjust, or have you locked it up? Next, look up toward the place where the wall and the ceiling meet. And what do you notice about that? What is your head doing in that position? And then let's try to find a neutral, really balanced head position with eyes that are looking toward the horizon. Again, how's your head? How's your balance? What are you looking at? What do you see? What I've started to notice a lot is also because I'm close to 6 feet tall and because of my little friend that gives me, that takes all my attention, right? I'm almost always looking down. And so that in my body creates a lot of tension in my neck and then in my upper back because I'm constantly basically pulling my head out of alignment so that I can look down. So one thing I've started to do is hold my phone up a little bit more if I'm reading or texting so that I can kind of make a different choice about my head. And I'll even sort of slouch on purpose and then lift my head up, look up, so that I can sort of find the natural curve in my cervical spine, like we talked about last time, and then let my whole body sort of come into a more balanced. So you might be able to tell if you're very perceptive that I'm in a different place than when I started. Because again, I tend to be a little bit on the turtley side, looking forward and curving like the wrong way with the cervical spine. So that's thing one, gaze and where your eyes go. And that making good neutral choices about that can help make a good neutral choice in your head spine as well. It's worth noting that in Alexander technique, they call the relationship between your head and your spine primary control. And one of the reasons I like to refer to it as primary control is this idea that primary means first. And in this case, first, if you have freedom and ease in this relationship, that will translate through the rest of your system as freedom and ease in other places too. Sometimes it's like, I want to fix my shoulder. I want to fix my shoulder. My shoulder hurts when I play the piano or whatever. And if we just focus on the shoulder, but we miss the opportunity to notice that head spine is constricted, then we may never quite get at the root cause of the shoulder, which might have something to do with the way that head spine relate and then interfere with the shoulder or not. Everything's connected, my people. All right, so we're talking about eyeballs. Another really interesting thing to play around with is the fact that you've got a lot of head above your eyeballs. We tend to think, like, because we are such a thinking people, analytical people, sort of like where eyeballs stop is where the world stops. Because, like, this is where information comes in and we process and we do it. So, everybody kind of like block yourself off above here and just sort of imagine for a second that your head stops right here where your eyeballs are. Then give yourself the opportunity to notice, and I like to do this with my hands. I don't know, I think it just kind of feels nice too, to notice how much head you have above your eyeballs. And if you have the chance to look at people, like in a class, or if your roommate's around, or I don't know if you're watching this in the student center with your earbuds on, look at the people you look at too, and look at how much more skull is up here. It's like a third of your skull above your eyeballs. And so just that awareness helps me find a little bit more ease in my neck and a little bit more freedom, recognizing that I've got all of this head up here that's got to be free to adjust. Lastly, the place in our brain where the pictures we see in our eyes turn into information is back here in the back of your head. So for 1 second, look at something, anything around you really intensely, like, oh my gosh, there's a cup, I see it. I'm like burning my eyes into it. Then give yourself permission to recognize that the part of your brain that makes sense and can say cup versus bowl or dogs barking or whatever is back here. And let the information come into the back of your head and see how that changes your perception and how it changes the relationship of your eyes to your head to movement, the things around you. What is it like to let information come in to the back of the head as opposed to feeling like you've got to look and go forward? The dogs are losing it. It's time to go. Enjoy your eyeball exploration.